going into Jacob, Esau, and the harvest. I would like to give credit to the teacher of this lesson, Brother Obi. And I'd like to thank him for this great lesson that he has brought out. It was, we were originally just going to be going to the identification of Esau, but it's going to be a little bit deeper now that we have a deeper understanding of the harvest. Let's go to Matthew 13 and 24, please, Brother Kalali. All right, can you read that for me, please?
The book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field.
Keep reading. Go to 30. Keep reading to 30.
But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. And when the blade was sprung up, and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said to him, Sir, didst not thou sow seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And said unto him, an enemy. He said unto them, an enemy hath done this.
Again?
He said unto them, an enemy hath done this.
Is that 30?
The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? And he said, Nay, unless while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say unto the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn.
So as you can see here, he speaks of the harvest and how the Most High put forth, or the farmer put forth good seed, and the enemy came forth and laid down basically weeds, seeds. They call them tares, and which would be unfruitful, but they would also choke the wheat as well if the wheat wasn't strong enough to withstand the tares. So we see here that the enemy and the Most High have their plants inside of this field. So let's continue to read to see what do these the wheat and the tare represent. Read from 48, if you will.
Verse 48. Which, when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. Angels come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. Then verse 50. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
So this was the sower seed. So he says he's going to take the good, and he's going to take the good, and he's going to take that and put that in the barn. But he says as far as the tares, the bad crop, he's going to take that, and he's going to burn that up with unquenchable fire. So we see now we have the parable of the tares. Now we have to understand who are the wheat and who are the tares. Well, there's two nations, but there's not only two nations. It also takes place in the realm of the spirits as well. So we're going to go to our next verse, and we're going to go to Genesis. Read 3 and 1. Go to 3 and 1.
Look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yashayah of Ahiam had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim say, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden.
Continue.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yashayah said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said to the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For Yashayah know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil.
Continue.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and did eat.
So here we see the serpent coming to the woman and trying to deceive the woman into sin. This was a seed of sin that that Satan tried to plant in her. We're going to see this seed if we jump down. If we jump down the verse, in the verses, chapter 3, verse. Yeah, let's start at 14. We're going to see in this verse the seed in which was planted. There was two seeds that were planted. And we'll find that these two seeds, there was a wicked seed and there was also a righteous seed. Let's read it.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Alright, so we see. Read 14 and then read now.
Chapter 4?
Verse 14.
And the Most High Elohim said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Above thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
So we see here the struggle between the woman's seed, between the woman's seed and the serpent's seed. Here we see the struggle between the two. And from this struggle, the Most High would come and he would harvest those who were righteous and take those who were wicked away, and he would throw them in hell. And then later on throw hell into the lake of fire. But this is the harvest that's coming, and the angels are going to harvest. But there was also something else. Just as he said that the angels inside of Matthew 13, he said that angels are those who harvest. There are also another group of angels that also laid a wicked seed as well. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6 verse 1. If you want to figure out who if these sons of God are fallen angels, you go to Job 38, and you can read 5. You can read from 5 to 7, and it'll show you that these sons of God are not human beings, but they are angels. So these same Nephilims, who were created of man and woman angels and women mixing together, also created a new seed which was called Nephilim, or the giants. So here we have, from these giants, when they died and the Most High erased them off the earth, in the book of Enoch, it says that they became evil spirits. If you want references on the book of Enoch, you can go to Jude and you can read Jude. And you can also read in Genesis, and you'll find that Genesis also references Enoch as well, if you will. It references Enoch. So we're going to go to Enoch now.
Got it.
You got it? Okay. Read that and then go to Jude and find Enoch.
And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with Elohim, and he was not, for Elohim took him.
So there we go. We see Enoch and in the Torah. So if anybody has any question whether or not Enoch is in the Bible, which is, they should know this. You see Enoch inside of Genesis. And now let's go to Jude. And let's see what Jude has to say about Enoch.
Here it is.
Alright, go ahead and read that, please.
General Epistle of Jude, chapter 1, verse 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of thee, saying, Behold, I cometh with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against them. And these are the murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, and their mouth speaketh great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage.
So we see that Enoch also made a prophecy. I believe you can find that Enoch chapter 1 verse 9, this exact same thing that Jude is quoting from Enoch. Oh yeah. Enoch chapter 15 verse 8, and it reads, Kev, can you read that for me?
And now the giants who are produced from their spirits and flesh shall be called
1 second, please.
evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they were born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them.
So now we can see the evil spirits that came from this other seed that was planted inside of the earth. So now we see the Nephilim seed inside of the earth. So now let's go back to Genesis. So the Most High said to the serpent and to the woman, there would be two seeds in the earth. One would be chosen strategically to be the Most High seed from the woman, but the other would be the serpent's seed. The seed that would choose the serpent that tricked our foreparents, Adam and Eve, from the beginning. So from the watchers had their seed, and they would help to lead the seed of the serpent down the path of wickedness. So let's go to Genesis chapter 25, please. And we're going to see the woman's seed and the serpent seed. He said, he shall bruise your head, and he shall bruise your heel.
Book of Genesis 25, verse 24. And where days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her wound, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
Go ahead.
And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out with his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
There's the heel. His hand took hold on Esau's heel. This is the fulfillment of the he shall bruise your head and he shall bruise your heel. We're going to show that in a little bit. Let's continue. And 2nd Ezra.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when he bare them.
So now we see the serpent seed, and woman seed. We know which one was chosen, and we know which one was not chosen. We know that Jacob was chosen and Esau was not chosen. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, verse 10. And we're going to read to chapter 12. And we're going to see these two seeds that were separated out of the woman. Okay, chapter 9 of Romans, verse 10 through 12.
Book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 10 through verse 12.
13.
Through verse 13, Shalawam. And not only this, but when Rebekah had conceived by one, even by father Isaac, for the children not being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yashayah according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. And it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
So now we see here the separation. He said, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6, please. 2nd Ezra chapter 6. So now we see the separation between the two seeds. Two seeds, they were planted in the field of the earth. So soon there will be a harvest. But there's also other things that go into this as well. So we have to identify the two seeds. And when we identify the two seeds, there's also a spiritual understanding to it as well, the field and the harvest that goes with these two seeds. Either you're under the house of Jacob or you're under the house of Esau. And if you read in Psalms 83, you'll find that those who were in a confederacy with Esau joined themselves to Esau. Let's go to 2nd Ezra.
Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 6.
7. Shalawam, 7.
Verse 7, Shalawam. Then I answered and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, the beginning of it that fall, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, And when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
Here we go, the bruising of the heel. And naturally, if his hand was on his heel, then his foot was on his head. Let's continue.
For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
He says Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that which followeth. So now we can see, the two seeds, and we also see the seed, another seed, the Nephilims. Let's go to now. We see that Esau would be reigning in the end. He says Esau would be the end of the world. Therefore, in the end, he would be in charge of the world. We know who Jacob is, so now we need to find out who Esau is. So let's go to Daniel. We're going to be going into Esau first. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2. And we're going to see this statue in which Nebuchadnezzar had made, and the Most High had showed to Nebuchadnezzar before he made his statue, that the Most High showed to Nebuchadnezzar in a dream. Start at the very beginning. And this is going to go down, breaking down the different nations that would come in succession. Go ahead and read that. Daniel chapter 2, verse 37. Go ahead.
Verse 36. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art the king of kings. For a high of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art his head of gold. And after thee shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, it shall break in pieces and bruise.
I want you to stop there real quick. So now he's describing the first four nations. The first one was Babylon. The second was Persia. The third one was Greece, and after that was Rome. The Romans were known for their iron as well. So here's the four nations. But when it gets down to the feet of this statue, we're going to see another nation. Let's jump from here. Read 43.
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men.
Read that one more time. They shall mingle themselves with what?
As they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
So it says here that who are they that's going to mingle themselves with the seed of men? Now there's two people that can mingle. There were also Nephilims during the time of Joshua that mixed with the Canaanites, and whom Esau mixed with. And there's also angels that could come down still and mix with them. Not the angels that were in the beginning, because they were held in chains of darkness according to Enoch. So now we see that this seed of Satan would mix himself part iron and part clay. Part iron, part clay. He would be the clay, but this iron would not be him, but it would be those higher beings who would mix themselves with clay. With the clay, which was man. So this was the seed of the fallen angels. That's why I went into the Nephilim earlier. So now we see Esau. So who is Esau? Where is Esau today? Where did he go? So in order to understand that, we understand that he's the last kingdom. We see here that the last kingdom would mix himself with the Nephilim seed, as we broke down earlier. So now we have to go and we have to find, where did this Esau go that mixed with the Nephilim seed? Let's go to Genesis and let's get a description on how Esau looked. Let's go to Genesis chapter 25 and 25. And we're going to read that one more time. We're going to read it carefully. Genesis 25 and 25.
Book of Genesis chapter 25 verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
So the first came out red and hairy. Red and hairy. We know a certain race that comes out red at birth. We also know a race that is known for it being hairy. Now, in the movies, they don't show the Caucasian being hairy because they're always shaving. But you can actually go and look it up. If you go and look up a Caucasian women shaving compared to black women shaving their legs, and Caucasian men shaving compared to black men, Caucasians have the fastest or most rapid growth of hair there is. So this would be 2 pointers to show who they are. So they would be red. He was red at birth when he came out, and hairy. Let's go to Genesis 27 and 27 and 11, and we're going to see what type of hair. 27 and 11, and we're going to see what type of hair this Esau had.
Verse 27, book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 11. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man.
Stop there. So he says, Behold, Esau is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. There he goes again, saying that his brother was hairy. Let's jump down to 16, please. Let's see what she did. Now, this is during the time when Jacob's trying to get Esau's blessing. If you read in Yashayah, Jacob had already bought Esau's blessing. Not his blessing, his birthright. And the blessing automatically goes with the birthright, because once you get the blessing, the birthright is to take over your father's household, and you get the blessing as a firstborn to go with that, so that you can be blessed. That's why it says in Ecclesiastes, he says the blessing of a father establishes households. So if you're going to take charge of your father's household, then you must have the blessing to go with the birthright. Now, Esau has not told his father that he sold off his birthright. Esau did not tell his father that. If his father knew that Esau had sold off his birthright, the birthright is from your father, first of all. It's a blessing to take over father's camp. And Esau, that's contemptible. Read verse 16, please, and let's see what she did. Let's see what she did to handle this, because Jacob was smooth, but Esau was hairy. Let's see what she put on him. Let's read it. Read 16.
Verse 16. And she put skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck.
She did what?
And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck.
So it says here that she put skins upon him, upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. So the kids of the goats, if you go and you find or look up goats, you'll find out that goats have straight hair. If Esau was a hairy man with woolly hair, like most Israelites, woolly hair, then she would have taken sheep's wool. But she took the skin of the goats and she put it on Jacob to mimic the hairiness of Esau. So he had straight hair and red skin. And being a hot climate inside of Canaan, you'll find that Edomites, and let me say Caucasians, do also become red inside of hotter climates. So she put on straight goat's hair on him. So where did these red skinned people with straight hair go? Let's go to Joshua chapter 10 verse 16. Okay, Joshua chapter 10 verse 13 and 2 Samuel 1 verse 18, and you'll find the references to Joshua. Don't worry about reading right now. They can look it up. Let's go to the 10th chapter of Joshua. Book of Joshua chapter 10 verse 16, please. Now this is gonna at first seem a little bit disconnected, but I want you to listen to this verse because it's gonna connect right to what we're talking about. It's gonna talk about the children of Chittim. Let's go ahead and read verse 16.
And the children of Chittim are the Romim who dwell.
Are the what?
The Romim.
So the children of Chittim are the Romim. The Romim are the Romans. We'll prove it in the next verse. So we're going to keep an eye on the children of Chittim, because Esau, in a little bit, we're going to have a connection between the children of Chittim and Esau. Let's continue.
Who dwell in the valley of Canopia by the river Tiber.
Go ahead.
And the children of the...
No, wait, stop there. So now we see the children of Chittim are the Romim. The children of Chittim are the Romim, or the Romim. So let's go to Yashayah chapter 61 verse 25, and let's see the connection between the Roman Esau, or one of Esau's sons, and Italy, so that we can show that this Romim is in Italy. So let's go to Yashayah chapter 61 verse 25.
The book of Yashayah chapter 61 and 25. The book of Yashayah chapter 61 verse 25.
Go ahead.
And King Zepho went at their head and made war with Tubal and the islands, and they subdued them, and they returned.
You're at 25?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And they renewed his government for him. They built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat, and made a large throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Chittim, over the land of Italia, 50 years.
So this man Zepho is actually one of Esau's grandsons. If you read the book of Yashayah, you'll find that this man Zepho was a son of, or not a son, but a grandson of Esau down the line. So now we see Zepho taking over the children of Chittim in the land of Italia, and we know the Chittim are the Romim, or the Romans. This was the early Roman Empire, or the early Roman kingdom. So now we see Esau coming into Europe for the first time, and he's taking over kingdoms in Europe. Let's go to Yashayah chapter 90 verse 7. Now we're going to see the true mixing between these two kingdoms and where they are today. Because if we find out that Esau is Rome, or Esau was connected to Rome and became Rome, then we find out, because Rome was pretty much all of Europe, the modern day Europeans. Yashayah chapter 9 verse 90 verse 20. So we're finding the serpent seed. We know who Jacob is. We're Jacob. We are Israel. But we have to identify this seed here, Esau.
And the children to Chittim continue their pursuit of Edom.
Edom is another name for Esau. If you go into Genesis, I believe, chapter 25, it tells you that Esau sold his porridge, and therefore he was called Edom. Or, yeah, 25 or 27. Yeah, 25. And in Genesis chapter 25, it tells you that Esau was named Edom. So let's continue. So the children of Chittim are pursuing Edom, the kingdom of Edom. Let's read it.
And the children of Chittim ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Chittim, and became one kingdom from that day.
And the children of Chittim took Edom, and they basically dominated Edom, and they became one kingdom from that day. Let's continue reading. Read the last one.
And from that time they could no more lift up their heads, and their kingdom became one with the children of Chittim.
So their kingdom became one with the children of Chittim. Chittim are the Romim, as we read in Yashayah 10. And the Romim live in Italia. Or as we saw Zepho, the son of Esau, taking over the children of Chittim earlier, and he ruled over the Romim in Italy. So now we see where this seed is. And from this seed, let's go to Psalms 83. They would become the dominators of the earth. The serpent seed had become the dominators of the earth, which is Rome. Which, if you look, you'll find that America and Rome have a bunch of ties, especially if you go into their law, right, Brother Kalabi? Sure. If you go into their law system, they brag about being connected to Rome, and that links them today. America's modern Babylon. You got it, Psalms 83.
Good.
In Psalms 83, we're gonna read what the connection between these and their confederates, Esau, or the Roman Empire. Let's go ahead and read that, please.
Behold, thy enemies make a tumult.
Behold, thy enemies make a tumult. Go ahead.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Go ahead.
They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name
Go ahead.
of Yashayah may be no more in remembrance. Salachia. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon, and the Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them.
So we see that Esau, the Moabites, the Hagarenes, the Gebal, Amalek, which is another sect of Esau or Edom, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre have all formed a confederacy against this one Israel, or Yashayah, not Israel, but Yashayah. So because Yashayah has now, the lines have been drawn, the battle lines have been drawn between these two, Esau and his confederates versus Jacob. Now Jacob, down the line through before Jacob was born, the Most High formed a covenant with Abraham. Abraham was supposed to keep that covenant, and he did. And he gave it from Abraham to Isaac, from Isaac to Jacob, from Jacob to his children, all the way down to when they went to captivity in Egypt to Moses. But there was one problem. Yashayah did not keep that covenant. So the battle lines are drawn, and the Most High said, as long as you keep this covenant, I will protect you. I'll keep your enemies from destroying you. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 26. He says, as long as you do what I say and keep my covenants, Leviticus chapter 26, as long as you follow my commandments, you'll be able to withstand the enemy. But Jacob, not Jacob, but Israel, Yashayah did not keep the commandments of the Most High.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 6. And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down. With none shall make you afraid, and none shall make you afraid, Salatia. And I will ride evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land.
Go ahead.
Ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 you shall chase, put 10,000 to flight. And your enemy shall fall before you by the sword.
So let's continue. Read the last verse. Not the last verse. Read verse 9.
For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you.
So he says, if you read up during, he says, if ye walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them. This is the tangent on this. So we have battle lines drawn against us. Whereas if we keep the commandments, we'll be able to destroy any enemy that comes against us. Now the serpent seed, which was planted inside of the field, has now taken dominance over the children of Israel. And this is the problem. Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 1 through 16. Why? Because we refuse to follow the law of the Most High. We refuse to keep his commandments. 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 1 through 16. We refuse to obey him. So now we have been trampled down, and with no one to help us. Let me read this real quick. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not Elohim. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. And I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. So now we see that's modern day, the Jews today. But the thing is, we didn't obey, and we provoked the Most High to jealousy and to anger with our disobedience to his commandments and his covenants. And therefore, with the battle lines drawn, we are being torn apart limb from limb by these nations. But there's one thing about, let's go to go ahead.
Look at 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 16.
Yeah.
And said unto him, Thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob,
read that again. Go ahead.
And unto them thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude.
So now we see the selection process, the winnowing down to choose that seed. Of the seed of Abraham, the Most High chose a specific seed, which was Jacob. But Esau was the one that took and went against that seed. So now we see that same Esau is drawing battle lines against us. But there's a problem. Let's go to verse 18. Read 17.
And it came to pass, when thou leddest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest him up to Mount Sinai.
Continue.
And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, and movest the whole world, and maddest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age.
So let's continue. Let's read to 22. Let's continue to read to 22.
And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, and that thou
continue.
That thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel. And yet ye lookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, and thy law might bring forth fruit in them. For the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed, and was overcome, and so that they all are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still.
So he says, even though he planted in us his law, even though he planted in us his Torah, his instructions in which we might have to live, even though he winnowed down and chose this race to be that woman's seed, to be that wheat, so that we would be the last when he took away the tare, we, Yashayah, did not keep his laws, and that which he had planted in us did not remain, because our hearts were wicked. Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 3. 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 31. Now Ezra, hearing this, made a case for Israel. Let's hear that. Go ahead.
Verse 31. I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion?
Continue.
Or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel? Or what generation hath so believed thy covenants as Jacob?
Continue. Read 26. Go ahead.
And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon my commandments. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and theirs also that dwell in the world. And so thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Or when it was they dwell upon the earth, have not sinned in thy sight, or what people have kept so thy commandments. And thou shalt find that Israel by name hath kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
So we see here that Israel did not keep. He says that Israel kept the commandments. Let's go to Ezra chapter 5, verse 22 through 27. Wait, you stopped at 36, right? So Ezra is trying to make a case for these people who were given the law. He says, well, out of all the people and out of all the heathen, we kept the commandments the best. But yet and still, if you look at it, we as Israel still did not keep the commandments as a whole still. Let's go to Ezra chapter 5 and verse 22 to 27. And we'll see yet again the winnowing process of the Most High. 22 and 27 you got. 5:22. Chapter 5, verse 22 and 27.
It said, O Elohim that bears rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof thou hast chosen thee one only vine, and of all the lands...
Stop there. So he says, of all the trees the Most High has chosen one vine. That's going to be important. He calls Israel the vine. Let's continue.
And of all the lands of the whole world thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily, and of all the depths of the sea thou hast filled thee one river, and all the builded cities thou hast hollowed Zion unto thyself.
Continue.
And of all the fowls which are created thou
Let's
hast named
go to 24. Wait, you... No, not 24. Yeah, 27. Read 27.
Among all the multitudes of peoples hast gotten thee one people, and unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest the law that is approved of all.
So now we see that out of all these people, out of all these nations, he has chosen himself one people, and he calls that people a vine. Let's see that inside of Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1.
Now I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
Go ahead, read that.
Yashayah. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill.
Where are you reading from?
Verse 1
Of
5.
Okay, go ahead.
And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked at that should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now the inhabitants of Jerusalem and the men of Yahweh, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could I have done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it?
So we see here that the Most High has prepared everything for this vineyard. He gave us, he did everything he possibly could for this vineyard. So the vineyard, and he said inside of it, he had a choice vine. But because we as Yashayah did not obey, the Most High had to do something about this broken covenant between the vine, because the vine brought forth wild grapes. So now he has to do something about this so that he can at least reap some of that vine in which was went bad or sour. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31. Alright, let me read Jeremiah 3 and 8 first, and then I'll let you got it inside of Jeremiah 31.
Verse
31. We're going to read that. Jeremiah 3 and 8. And it reads, And I saw, for the cause whereby backsliding Israel committeth adultery, I put her away, and have given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feareth not. So now we see the Most High have given Israel a bill of divorce. So the covenant in which Israel broke, the Most High finally said, you know what, here you go. And he gave her the bill of divorce, and he said, this covenant is over. Is done, not because he broke the covenant, but because we broke the covenant. So he said, because now this covenant is not done away with, he said inside of Jeremiah 31, he would make a new covenant, so that we, Israel, may have the promises of our fathers fulfilled through a new covenant, in which could not be broken. Let's go to Jeremiah 31, because the first covenant, Jeremiah 31. The first covenant was given to Abraham, and you had, in order to be in that covenant, you would have to be circumcised of the flesh. Genesis chapter 17, verse 11. You had to be circumcised in the flesh, and circumcision. You cannot be uncircumcised. No matter how hard you try, you can't be uncircumcised after you've been circumcised. So you're perpetually in that covenant. So if you break it, you've broken the covenant. But the Most High said he would circumcise our hearts. And because he would circumcise our hearts, if you decide to go against that covenant, then the circumcision of the heart, which is through the Spirit, that can be done away with, but you're no longer in the covenant. So if you break it, you're no longer in that covenant, therefore the covenant cannot be broken. You understand? Let's go to Jeremiah 31, verse 31.
Behold, the days come, saith the High, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband to them, saith the High. But this shall be the covenant that I will make, saith, with the house of Israel after those days, saith the High. I will put my law in their inward parts, and will write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
So we see here the Most High is making a new covenant with Israel. And he's making a new covenant with Israel. The contingent of this covenant. The first covenant was the circumcision of the flesh. But he said, this time I'm going to put my law in their hearts. But there's one thing. Israel was broken, as far as the branches were broken off. Let's go to read John chapter 15 verse 1.
I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
So now we see Israel was the choice vine, but through Yashayah Christ, through Yashayah the Messiah, we see Yashayah has become the vine. Let's read it.
Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, and bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as a branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me.
So now we see that we have been once again, now we have a vine that we can now graft into, which is Christ. It's no longer Israel. So he said every branch that does not bear fruit. Can you get Romans chapter 11, please? Every branch that does not bear fruit, he says, shall be taken away. Therefore, the whole vine is not defiled because certain branches refuse to continue in the covenant in which they had joined to in the beginning. He says, you know what, my Father just removes it. So now we have a new vine, which is Christ, which is Yashayah, the Messiah. Yashah meaning salvation, the Hebrew root for salvation, and Yah meaning my salvation. 11 and 16 of Romans.
For the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. If the root be holy, so are the branches.
So it says the first, let's continue. So now we see the root, we know that root is Yashayah. Let's continue. And we know the husbandman is the Most High. And he's preparing this vine for the harvest. But only those who graft into this vine will be harvested as good as a good harvest. But everything else, he says, the axe, John said, if you bear not good fruit, the axe is laid under the root of the tree. And he says it is trampled it is thrown to the fire. So if you're not grafted into this new vine, when it comes time for the harvest, then you yourself you'll be reaped with those that are of the serpent seed. And we're going to see more on that, the serpent seed. Let's continue. Now that we've identified the serpent seed, let's go ahead. So we've identified Esau, now we're getting into Jacob, and we're going to keep on going. Let's go ahead.
And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree wert grafted in amongst them.
This is speaking of the Gentiles. Let's go ahead.
And with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the fruit, but the root thee. And thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I may be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if a high spare not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee.
See? So this is speaking to the Gentiles. Let's continue. Is there any more on that?
I think so. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim on them which fell, severity, but toward thee goodness. If thou continue in this goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off.
Let's read the last one.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, and shall be grafted in, for Ahai is able to graft them in again.
So it says, if the Most High, if they were a part of the original vine, he says, if they continue not in disbelief or unbelief, he says they can once again be grafted in. How do you graft in? Let's go to now Galatians chapter 3 verse 27.
Galatians chapter 3 verse 27.
Go ahead.
For as many of you has been baptized into Yashayah, put on the Messiah, Hamashiach. There is neither Judite nor Greek, neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in the Messiah Yashayah.
So it says that those who are grafted in Yashayah, those who are baptized into Yashayah. The next verse says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female. This is speaking of there is no, when it comes down to the grafting in, there is none of this when it comes down to well, you're a Greek, so you can't graft in. Oh, well, you're a male. I mean, you're a female, so you can't graft in. Oh, you're a bondwoman, you can't graft in. This is not speaking of that, because inside of Romans 1:16, you'll find that it says to the Jew first, then the Greek. So there is a difference between the Jew and the Greek. But as far as it goes here, we are reading that all that wish to be grafted into that vine, which is Christ, so that they can be spared on the great harvest. All who want to be grafted in can be baptized into Christ, and there is no respecter of person when it comes to the what is it called, the baptism. Let's go to now Corinthians chapter 12, verse 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12 to verse 13.
All right.
For as the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Hamashiach. For by one Spirit we are all baptized into one body, whether we be Judites or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, all have been all made to drink into one Spirit.
So here's the understanding on that. He says, whether you be Jew or Greek, we are all baptized into one Spirit. So that's the understanding of there is neither Jew nor Greek. Because why would Paul say there is neither Jew nor Greek and go to the Jew first, then the Greek? Or the Jew first, then the Gentile? So now we're seeing now how you can graft in. What you can do to graft in and be saved when it comes to the harvest, so that you can be spared of the, what's it called, the burning of the chaff. We're seeing this, but there's one more thing to it. Let's go back to Romans 9. Let's start at verse 4. Verse 3. This one, go ahead.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to my flesh, who are Israelites, whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the servants of Elohim.
It says the glory and the covenants. Both covenants belong to Israel according to... So if you're going to say that Israel is done away with and Israel no longer matters, well, the Most High first gave the covenant to Israel, to Yashayah, all 12 tribes. He did not give the covenant to Gentiles. That's the first thing. It says both the covenants. There was only 2 made, so if he says covenants in the plural, plural is 2 or more. So both the covenants belong to us. And the adoption. And the giving of the law. And the service of Elohim. Let's continue.
Whose are fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Yashayah came, whom is over all, a high blessed forever, Yaman.
Now, in the next verse, this is confusing to some people. Let's read the next verse. Let's go ahead.
Not as though the word of Elohim hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel.
So it says, not all they are Israel that are of Israel. Let's continue. Why does he say this?
Neither, because they are the seed of Abraham, are they all the children, but in Isaac shall the seed be called.
He says, neither are they all, according to the flesh, children, but he says the seed would be called of Isaac. Let's continue.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing once again that word seed. Seed. The Most High speaks of it as seed. Why? Because this is the harvest. Let's continue.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed.
As we read inside of verse 4, he says, to who pertaineth the adoption, the covenants, the giving of the law, the service Elohim, and the promises. So here is the promise. He says the promise is counted for seed. Let's read on.
And for this time is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah will have a son. Ooh, did I read that?
No, go ahead.
And not only this, When Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Ahiah according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger.
So once again, we see this is if you read the last verse, it says, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. So when it talks of seed, when it talks of Israel, but earlier it said, not all of Israel is Israel. Why does it say that? All right, verse 25 of chapter 9. Let's read that.
Verse 25 of chapter 9.
Go ahead.
And he said also in Osee, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which not beloved.
And Hosea chapter 1, verse 9. In Hosea chapter 1, verse 9, you see this prophecy. Hosea chapter 1, verse 9, and it reads, Then Elohim called his name Lo Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your Elohim. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. And this ties right into our last verse when it comes to the harvest. There's one last factor when it comes down to whether you are under Satan's seed, Esau, and become a confederate with him, because if you confederate with him, then you will be in the tares, in which will be reaped and burned. Or if you are Israel's seed, which is grafted into their Messiah, Yashayah, in which we graft in to be saved from the great destruction. He says they would be called, where it was said, "You are not my people," they would be called the sons of the living Elohim. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 9. It tells us, now that you are sons of living Elohim, baptized into one spirit, grafted into the one body, which is Christ, grafted into the vine, which is Christ, into one body. There's one thing that comes with this. Let's go ahead and read it.
Book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 7.
Let's read from 4. Go ahead. And we'll read to 9. Go ahead.
Whosoever commits sin transgresses also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abideth in him sinneth not. Whosoever sinneth hath not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous.
So he says, he that is in him committeth no sin. Why? Because he had the Spirit. We have the Spirit, in which keeps us from falling. If you read in Jude, it also says inside of Jude, he says, "All praise also giving thanks to him that is able to keep us from falling." Jude is one chapter, so if you read the whole thing, you'll find out what I'm talking about. So, as it says, those who are in him do not sin. But he says those who are righteous don't commit sin. Let's continue. It says that he was manifested to take away sin. Go ahead, read verse 8.
He that commits sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning.
This is the serpent's seed. The seed of the serpent. The serpent was Satan, as we see inside of Revelations. It says in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which delivereth the whole world. He was cast out unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So now we see once again, more angels who would be also the enemy to plant these other seeds, who would mix themselves with men, which was Esau. Okay, so now it says, all those who sin are of this serpent, or are of Satan, which is that serpent. Let's continue.
Verse 10. In this the children of Elohim are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever does not righteousness is not of Elohim, neither he that loveth not his brother.
Wait, Read that again, the bottom half. For this purpose, the son of Elohim. Go ahead.
For this purpose the son of Elohim was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
Okay, now go ahead.
Whosoever is born of Elohim doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin, because he is born of Elohim.
It says, in him, he says, he cannot sin, for his seed remaineth in him. Now it says the devil sinned from the beginning. So now we see the difference between the serpent seed and the seed of the Most High, the sons of Elohim. Now we can see the difference between the two. And this is how you can tell the difference between those who are of the Most High and those who are not. For it says, the seed of Elohim, those who are born of Elohim cannot sin because his seed is within him. So you have to have the seed of the Most High, which is the perfect righteousness of Christ, which was the fulfillment of the law, not the end, but the fulfillment, making it more complete and perfect. He will be that seed planted within you, so that when the harvest comes, you will bring forth fruit. And through that fruit, you shall be saved in the time of the great harvest, when the angels shall harvest the wheat and the tare. Is that the end of the verse, Brother Caleb? Brother Kalabe?
Verse 10. Verse 10.
Go ahead.
And this the children of Elohim are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever does not righteousness is not of Elohim, neither he that loveth not his brother.
And he says, neither him that loveth not his brother. So now we see the difference between the serpent seed and now there's a physical aspect of the serpent seed versus the woman's seed, which is Jacob and Esau. That's where the battle lines are drawn. But this is where the teams are picked. Whether you are baptized into Christ, baptized into Yashayah, the Messiah, or you choose to commit yourself to being on the serpent seed, which is Esau, and which decided to choose the father, and which was the father of sin and the father of death, which is Satan, he who sinned from the beginning. So the great harvest is coming, and we have to continue, and we need the Spirit of the Most High in order to last until the end. And we need to we have to know the law, but we have to know the law through Christ, through Yashayah. And if we know that, he says, he says, if you love your brother, and you love your Elohim, he says that is the keeping of the whole law. Because if you love those, then you will not go against them, and you will not disobey the Father. You will not disobey your neighbor. You will not disobey, but you will not go against your neighbor in a wicked way. Neither will you go against the Most High. So, all praise to the Most High. This is the end of the teaching.